Coming up in today's episode, we bring you news of 4 England international women's players have moved to Australian clubs. Super League are in talks about the Marque rule, and we catch up with the NRL for this week's round of fixtures with the scores and scorers. Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the channel Held Dominance. Anthony here. Please remember to like and subscribe, and also click that notification bell if you're enjoying what you're seeing and if you want to continue seeing more. So ladies and gentlemen, what have we got for you today? Well, our first story comes in the guise of the Super League, as there have been talks. Well, there will be talks next month about extending the existing rule when it comes to marquee players and what they get paid and how many marquee players clubs can sign. Super League are proposing changes to the existing marquee rule from next month. Currently, clubs are allowed 2 marquee players deemed anything beyond a £175,000 a year wage. Some of the bigger clubs in the competition have used the marquee route in recent years, with Sky Sports reporting during the coverage of St Helens vs Warrington last night that meetings are set to take place on May the 10th in regards to this move. The view is to extend the current marquee rule from 2 to 3 players. Officials at Super League level and all the clubs are looking to make the change that will be based on the provision that at least one of the marquee statuses is reserved for a club or federation trained player, in hope of keeping the very best English talent in Super League due to the raft of changes that have happened recently with players going down under. The competition will be losing the likes of Kai Pearce-Paul and Will Price to NRL club Newcastle Knights next season, with St Helens losing Regan Grace last year to French Rugby Union, but Regan Grace has had a bit of an indifferent time at Racing in France. It is thought that they won't be the last changes to the code with both parties, not to mention England Rugby circling the best players from the UK and France. The proposals which the Super League clubs will be briefed on next month is an alternative to the increasing the salary cap, and will be drawn up in hoping to entice more players to stay in UK Super League and RFL as a whole. The likes of the New England captain George Williams, who just this month signed a bumper extension with Warrington despite NRL interest trying to pull him back to the competition as of 2024, or like clubmate Thomas McKaylee back to the competition this season. With the competitions like the Super League, the RFL, Rugby League World Cup, the Wheelchair Rugby League, the Women's Game, all dragging in new interest, the new IMG deal is also going to create more interest in the competition, as they will be looking to get the maximum from their investments in the sport. It's hoped that the alteration with this new marquee rule will allow for similar moves in the future to keep hold of English or French or even Super League wide talent from being plucked from the different code or Australia, New Zealand or wherever. Super League clubs voted in mass for the IMG proposals earlier this week, with the company hired by the RFL as a strategic partner to help them grow the games in the next 12 for the next 12 years. So they have also talked about changes and ideas that are coming up, and this is the one that the clubs can get involved with, I'm sure, or it is a club driven idea. It is to hopefully keep those talents that we are currently losing in Super League, with the likes of John Bateman earlier this season going to West Tigers. just before the season starts, which was probably a complete shock to Wigan Warriors. Granted, they were told in December that this might happen due to the apparent interest from West Tigers, but how do you prepare for that? Who can you bring in? At this moment in time, it's not affecting Wigan too much, but further down the line, it could become an issue due to injuries. Let's see how this goes. It is a good idea in principle. They have to manage it right though, and there must be a cap on how much players can be paid on that Marque rule, so that we don't get 13 Marque rule players in the future. Now let's move to the women's game, as 4 England internationals are heading to Australia to improve their rugby league journey and themselves as people and players. First of all, we have former Woman of Steel Georgia Roach, who has become the first English player to take up an opportunity in a largely professional NRLW team. The 22-year-old halfback who won the inaugural Woman of Steel award in 2018 whilst playing for Castleford, has been a standout player in the Women's Super League for several years, and now is widely expected to make the move to Newcastle Knights, although it's yet to be officially announced by the Australian club. The Batley-born playmaker, who starred for England at last year's World Cup, is the second English player to make the move down under after York's Holly May Dodd, who was snapped up by the Canberra Raiders last week. Going back to Roach though, her coach Lois Forsell said Georgia Roach has been in talks with the NRLW for quite some time. All the back and forth with the CBA movement with the NRLW has made the process longer, and that we have probably anticipated. Georgia has been upfront with us from the absolute start of her journey in pursuing her other options. Credit to Georgia, she has been snapped up by an NRLW club. I'm sure they'll be announcing sooner rather than later. We obviously knew about that before round 1, and they put an embargo on her playing. Hopefully, Georgia will feature in the international game for England next week, but her contract stated to be playing non-domestic rugby league, so that's something she had to go along with. It's a shame for her, and it's a shame for us, because we'd love to see her run out at Headingley in round 1, but she goes with our best wishes, and we'll know she'll do great. It's a credit to our competition, and us as a club, that we have got players of that calibre that they are wanting to snap up. I'm sure we'll see Georgia returning to Headingley and Leeds at some point later in her career. Hopefully it's not too long until we see her in the blue and amber again. 2 other women that have moved down to Australia. First of all, England international Georgia Wilson has left Wigan Warriors to play in Australia with Brisbane League side the South Logan Magpies, with a view to moving into the NRLW being her main aim. A former rugby union player, Wilson joined Wigan for their inaugural 2018 season following a trial, helping them win the Women's Super League title that year. She scored 30 tries in 43 appearances for the club in total, and made 1 appearance for England at last year's World Cup, scoring a try against Canada at the DW Stadium. Wilson was the only Wigan representative in the latest England performance squad, but Warriors head coach Chris Ratcliffe said the 26-year-old went with their best wishes. She leaves with our blessing and hopefully a successful spell in Australia. We're sure she'll be a success there, as she was with us. Georgia also worked with the club's community foundation, delivering rugby league sessions to school. Wilson said, "I'd like to say a massive thanks you to all opportunities Wigan as a club have given me. Playing for the club has been an incredible experience, and having the fantastic opportunity to work with the community foundation, it has been fantastic. Developing children's involvement in sport is something I've always been passionate about, but for now I have an exciting opportunity to play rugby in Australia, which is something I've always wanted to do since I started. Georgia is unlikely to be the last England star to make such a move, with the top tier NRLW growing towards an entirely full-time league, while some Super League clubs in women's side are only offering payments for their first time this season. The competition is set to get bigger in 2023 with proposed new 900,000 Australian dollars, £514,000 salary cap, and a minimum salary of £30,000, £17,125 agreed. NRLW clubs are eyeing the top talent from across the world, and Australian media have linked players, as we've seen, like Holly Dodd, who has also taken up the opportunity at another club. Holly Mae Dodd has made a move to the Brisbane Broncos for 2023, and the 19-year-old second rower is one of the biggest talents in the country. So to make more history when she joins the Raiders from York Valkyrie, becoming the first English player to sign a contract for the NRLW club. From playing for her school and impressing in the national school finals, Dodd was brought into the fold at the Betfred Super League Women's Club Castleford Tigers and became the youngest player to feature in the Challenge Cup final, aged just 16, when they were beaten 16 points to 10 by Leeds Rhinos in 2019. She then followed her former Tigers head coach, Lindsay Arnold, to York ahead of the 2022 season, helping the club to the Betfred Women's Super League Leaders Shield and the inaugural Women's Nines victors, along with reaching the grand final for the first time. The defeat to Leeds at the Totally Wicked Stadium was offset somewhat by Dodd being named as the Women's Super League Young Player of the Year for 2022, and she went on to score 2 tries in 4 appearances as England reached the semi-finals of last year's Rugby League World Cup. It was just before the tournament that the former Castleford Academy pupil was contacted by an agency and put in contact with several clubs before ultimately choosing Canberra, and she's excited by the opportunity to further develop in a full-time environment at one of the NRL women's newest clubs. Dodd had originally turned down the chance to join an Australian club when she was 16 years old, as she did not feel that she was ready then. Now though, she's saying it's a dream. I know most players who are wanting to be full-time athletes, but we're just not there yet in this country. Now is the opportunity. I'm going to take it. And I can't wait to be over there playing and being full-time athlete, because that's what every girl dreams of when they start playing rugby league. I'm looking forward to the challenge. I know it's going to be a challenging time for me, and being away from my family will probably be the hardest because I'm really close to them. I'm really looking forward to playing alongside top athletes, hopefully developing as a player. Another player said to be on her way to Australia is Leeds Rhinos Fran Goldthorpe, as she is set to join the North Queensland club for the next season. No official confirmation has come from the club on both sides of the hemispheres, of both sides of the world, but the Rugby League Hub is saying that the player has made that move to Australia and will sign for North Queensland. The Leeds Rhinos dual code player has played rugby union and cricket at a junior level and captained the Yorkshire Cricket Board's under 15s team before making the move to rugby league with Guiseley Rangers, which brought the attention of her to Leeds Rhinos. She's still playing for the England under-20s rugby union side and played in their recent game before the Leeds Rhinos match against York Valkyrie to open the 2023 Super League Women's season. I just want to say good luck to all the players on the way down to Australia, and hopefully they're overstated success, because that way they'll be the best players and come back to play for England so that they could become the best women's team. And finally we come to the games that were played on Thursday and Friday in the NRL, which is round 8. It's been a while since we've covered any NRL games, but I'll bring you some from this action and restart what we've done before. As I said, round 8 is the Telstra Premiership ANZAC round, where the rugby league community comes together in the Southern Hemisphere to honour and commemorate the generations of Australian and New Zealand servicemen and women who have defended the country's values and freedoms in wars, conflicts and peace operations. It's to say thank you to what those servicemen have done by volunteering their lives and their livelihoods to a cause which they feel is bigger than them. The ANZAC round has had its fair share of good matches in the past. Whether it was 2005 where we saw Brad Fittler scoring a 50-metre try to inspire an 11 points to 8 tricolours victory in 2004, or when they returned in 2005 when the Roosters saw their lead of 18 points to 6 whittled away before they were in front by 4 points with less than 4 minutes on the clock. Young Saints half at the time, Matthew Head, almost single-handedly won the game, however gambling on a chip and regather that saw Matty Cooper finish off a 60-metre try. Head had drilled the sideline conversion to steal a 26 points to 24 victory. Or in 2009 when the Storm were leading 14 points to 6 over the New Zealand Warriors. Although through the second half, midway through the second half at the Olympic Stadium, before Manu Vatuve's second try and a 4-pointer from Patrick Arvan levelled the scorings. The Warriors had thought they won the game after they put one through the sticks, 30 seconds of extra time left. But it was sent upstairs and disallowed due to Stacey Jones fumbling in the lead up. So what are the games that we are going to look into for 2023 on this 8th round? Well, Thursday saw the Rabbitohs versus the Penrith Panthers, while the Parramatta Eels face the Brisbane Broncos. To come on Saturday, there is the Canterbury Bulldogs versus the Cronulla Sharks, and then the Cowboys versus the Knights finish off Saturday's games. Sunday sees the Dolphins versus the Titans, and the West Tigers versus the Manly Seagulls. Then, after the Bank Holiday Monday, Tuesday sees the Roosters versus the Dragons, and the Storm versus the Warriors complete the ANZAC round, as it stretches between the 20th and the 25th of April. The week off goes to the Canberra Raiders. So, who did what in the first 2 games? Well, between the Bunnies and the Panthers, it was South Sydney who came away with a victory, 20 points to 18, as they thanked Damien Cook, Latrell Mitchell with 2 tries, and Isaiah Tass scoring in the final minute to give the Rabbitohs the victory. The Penrith Panthers had fought back from being behind at multiple points in the game, with all the points coming from Stephen Crichton. He converted 3 from his 4 attempts, 1 being a penalty, for the entire 18 points, but it wasn't good enough for the Panthers to come away with a win, and Souths get the 2 points. Friday's game was the Parramatta Eels versus the Brisbane Broncos, as the two sides faced each other today, and it was a hell of a game as Brisbane Broncos came out victors 26 points to 16. Tries from Herbie Farnworth, Adam Reynolds. Reynolds came off an absolute fantastic pass from Ezra Mam. Saw the start of the game, and then an Ezra Mam and Dakota Curtoni Staggs tries set the Broncos on the way to a 22 points to 6 half-time lead. Adam Reynolds kicked 2 conversions in the first half, a penalty as well, to give 22 points to the Broncos, while Clint Gutherson was the man that scored the try for the Panthers in the first half. Mitchell Moses added the extras, and we went into half-time with that scoreline. Jermaine Hopgood was sent to the sin bin on the 46th minute due to a hip drop tackle close to their own line, before the same thing happened to Ezra Mam after Maker Sivo's special on the 58th minute. Mam was on a swinging hip drop tackle. He was swung round the player, but he was sent to the sin bin as well. Too many of those going on in the NRL. There was a conversion by Mitchell Moses before Sean Russell on the 63rd minute went over for the try, which wasn't converted by Mitchell Moses. In terrible conditions, that was all the scoring done, and the Broncos remain top of the table. And with that, the current ladder in the NRL looks like this, with the Brisbane Broncos and Penrith Panthers still in the top 2 places, despite the Rabbitohs winning one more game than the Penrith Panthers. They're in 3rd place compared to the Panthers 2nd place. And down in 12th, so the 4 teams that were played, the Parramatta Eels have only got 3 wins from their 8 games so far. Disappointing would be to say the least. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like, subscribe and share this video worldwide, as well as clicking on that notification bell for any updates on new videos that may be coming your way in the future. Tell me what your thoughts are on today's episode in the comment section below, and please be respectful, but tell me, how do you think the English girls will do down under? I think they'll all play in the NRL Women's as soon as possible. They're very good players. Tell me what your thoughts are on the Marque rule. Should they extend it? I think they should. It might deter a few players going down under. That's the money's there to keep them. Anyway, comment section's open. Please tell me your thoughts. But that's it for another episode, so please remember to share this video worldwide. I wish you all the best. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.